Good morning on a beautiful late summer morning. I am coming in here to talk about transparency. So the light's not perfect, the yard's not clean. I'm in my morning inspection pajamas, and that's a big part of transparency. Why am I always talking about transparency? Transparency is the linchpin to so much of what I work on and teach. And really, it's the flip side of taboos, right? So from when I was 14, for whatever reason, all these girls in the locker room would come up and be like, Olivia, can you help me learn how to put in a tampon? And so I have always been that person in whatever realm it is. If it's with money, with sex, with relationships, with parenting, people are able to be transparent with me. And there's a lot of talk in the self-development world about really acknowledging your shadow, and that's a huge part of my work. But sometimes it can feel very abstract. And so a lot of what I do starts with creating that transparency and creating spaces where that transparency truly is honored and celebrated and beautiful no matter what the situation. So in spirit of this, I'm going to share with you my very last priority perennial garden. I have hardly done anything this year, and there's so many parts of it that I will share transparently that irk me when I walk by. And as I give you a little tour, I teach intimacy in groups. I teach how to have lots of sun in your eyes. I teach finances in groups. I guide people through really rewriting their stories of their body image and how they feel in their bodies in groups. And that really calls for a lot of transparency. And so today I'm partly making the case for how there's room for everything. And we're doing that through my garden. So, just a little thing of these sweet peas. And this is Japanese anemone, I believe. That I can't remember if I planted or the previous owner did, but it's bigger than it's ever been this year. And the sweet peas I've planted every year, but this is the first year we haven't had the chickens free ranging. And so I guess they had been eating the little sweet pea, delicious little starts. And so this year we get to have them while the chickens are back there in their safe little coops and areas, a couple of coops. But in terms of transparency, so these beautiful tiger lilies, right? Also, thank you to the previous owner, because I certainly didn't plant them. This one's done, and I have not taken it down yet. These clover, they get all ruddy and rusty, but I don't know if you can see, the bees are still taking the deliciousness out of the clovers back there. And we have are there a couple bee balms? I guess the last bee balm little petals dropped. But this morning there we go. This morning, even though those are kind of wilty, those red bee balm in the back, how do I point on a camera? Even though they're not in their juiciest, lushest prime, this morning I saw a hummingbird sticking its beautiful proboscis right in one of those that's built specifically for getting nectar that way. And so this transparency of all the parts that I haven't deadheaded or weeded, I'm using it as a reminder for myself that nature, this little weed, which could be beautiful in the eyes of the beholder. Oh, there's a little fly on the camera too. And my one little nasturtium that I think is so sweet and perfect and gorgeous amongst this really rough weed that we've got here. And in the previous years, I was so ruthless with them. But then I got all these other nasturtiums that are so mini and they couldn't even make flowers, but they're just hanging in there. And maybe that's the finale. I'm blowing the finale already, but that first dahlia, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. In terms of all of these parts of ourselves, when we're thinking about success, when we're thinking about shame we might have about money decisions we've made, when we're thinking about relationships and choices we've made that we never, I'm using to this morning, the garden was reminding me that there's no right and there's no wrong, there's no this side and that side, there's no should have, because we can't ever see the whole picture. The hummingbirds that come here, they're part of an entire ecosystem that are migrating all up and down. And there are all these parts of our lives that to us might seem like the ruddy clovers, but we don't know that they're not allowing something else to thrive. And so that's my invitation today, is to think about success, and any struggles you have right now are probably the origins of more and more beauty in your life, even when that's hard to feel or acknowledge. And so nature just has a lot that we can learn from. So that's my transparency talk for today, with the invitation for you to share an area of your life where you are willing to be transparent today. Ooh, this little fly might get very close to the camera. You might get a very transparent view of its many eyeballs. Of an area where either you already have been transparent today, or that you are desiring that level of transparency. I work with so many couples where one of them doesn't know the level of debt that the other one has, where someone really desires something in the intimate realm, or a date night, or something with their children, but they don't feel confident saying, this is how I want the weekend to go. And so you don't even have to make a move, but being willing to be transparent with someone outside of your family, anyone, it starts shedding so many of these layers that are keeping us from shining our most beautiful blossoms. So with our most beautiful blossom, can we get to the dahlia there with, the plastic bucket in the background, and it's not all curated, but I'll leave you with that dahlia today. And mwah!